today and you want to ask a question, go ahead and just type it in the chat box that's in that GoToMeeting toolbar on your screen. And I'll stop periodically, and Yvette will collect those questions for me, and we'll try and get them answered. So with that, we're going to just kind of go through a brief agenda here, starting with kind of a definition of management reporter, as well as the benefits. And then we're going to look at the building blocks of management reporter, and then I'll take you into a live demo. And then I've got some screenshots of the just released Management Reporter 2012. So we'll look at some of the new capabilities that came with Management Reporter 2012. So what is Management Reporter? And this is Microsoft's definition. It's a real-time financial reporting application designed to empower information workers to quickly and easily create, generate, secure, and publish financial statements. So it's your financial statement report writer. Most of you who have been using Dynamics GP for quite a while are probably still using FRX. And so I thought I know there's some fear, or people are reluctant to make that switch to Management Reporter. And so I thought I'd just talk to you a little bit about why not use FRX any longer. The FRX code itself is over 20 years old. So if you think of that in a technology time frame, 20 years ago we were still using VHS and cassette tapes. So that kind of tells you how old that is. The FRX data is stored in Microsoft Access. So it's a very limited, while Access is a good small database application, it's really not meant for the type of application that's required to generate and produce financial reports. The entire design of FRX is tied to generating the reports as opposed to configuring and building the reports or viewing the reports. So it's not really multi-user, contrary to popular belief. And it's not 64-bit. So those of you who have migrated to 64-bit in your organizations probably have to have FRX in a special place all by itself just to keep it moving. And the last thing is FRX is gone. It's still being used. There's not going to be any service packs. There's not going to be any anything done to enhance the application. It's dead. It's gone. It's been sunsetted. And Management Reporter is now the reporting tool for financial reporting tool for Dynamics ERP. So some of the benefits of Management Reporter, first of all, that first bullet point, you'll see instead of reference to general ledger accounts, the reference will be more called financial dimensions as opposed to general ledger accounts. So the segments of your chart of accounts are now considered for Management Reporter financial dimensions. There's also been some significant formatting enhancements. Logos and images, those of you who've tried to put a logo on an FRX report, it's just not clear. It's very blurry. It's not crisp. And so you'll see in some of the reports that I'm going to show you today some images that are pretty crisp and clear. As well, you can add page breaks in column definitions now. So if you have a really wide report and you want to break it at a specific point, you can indicate that in the report. And so that makes just generating and viewing the reports a lot easier. From organizational perspective, there's this concept of the report library, and we'll look at that as well. But you can also file your report definitions in folders. So if you want to be organized in and keep them in specific folders, you can do that. And that's true for all of the building blocks, by the way. I just put report definitions, but it's true for your rows and columns and trees as well. There's also a report viewer. And so there's, in FRX, we have the drill down viewer. In Management Reporter, it's the report viewer, and it's got some additional capabilities that you'll see. You have the ability now to undo something. So if you, copy something in, or you enter data that's incorrect, you can do an undo when you're creating your reports and populating your building blocks. This last bullet point on this particular slide is a huge change, and in my opinion, a huge improvement over the way that we had to handle the currency translations with FRX. Currency translations are now managed in GP, which those of you who are using multi-currency, that's where you're managing them anyway. So you've got one source for your currency and exchange rates. Management Reporter brings a new code base and architecture. So it's 64-bit, C# and .NET, SQL Server, IIS. The report processing is done on the server instead of on the workstation. So you're offloading those big reports that you're generating, you're offloading them to your server, which has all the muscle and the ability to quickly generate those reports. Improved multi-user environment. As I said, FRX is not really a multi-user application. Consultants over the years have figured out how to trick it and make it a multi-user application, but it's really not architected for a multi-user environment. Management Reporter, built from the ground up, has been built to be multi-user. It also takes advantage of Active Directory, so you're managing your logins from one place instead of having to do multiple logins. And I think the biggest one here is it's developed specifically for Dynamics ERP. So, for GP, for NAV, for AX, and SL, those are the only applications that are going to be compatible with Management Reporter. So you're not going to have to worry about an application that's trying to be all things to all ERP solutions. It's just for the Microsoft Dynamics products, and it was released for GP first. And so you'll see, I think you'll see a more integration and more collaboration between GP and Management Reporter as it matures, since it was the first release. So some of the terminology changes, and you'll see kind of a theme here in that there a lot of the same capabilities exist. They've just been renamed. For example, you've heard me refer to the building blocks, your rows and your columns and your reporting trees. Well, in FRX, those came together in a specification set. In Management Reporter, it's a building block group. Instead of a row format, we have a row definition, column layout, column definition, reporting tree definition. I mentioned the general ledger accounts are now financial dimensions. Your drill down viewer is a report viewer. Chained reports are now called a report group, and they function completely differently. They actually work well now. So you can see a lot of those same concepts are still there. They're just named something different. So let's talk about some row definitions here, and we'll see a little bit more on this when we get into the demo itself. But I just wanted to show you what a row definition looks like in Management Reporter. It looks a lot like a row definition in FRX. So, from creating a report and creating a row definition, it's very much the same. We have our link to our financial dimensions. Those are the links to your GL accounts. You can see your total here. Instead of saying 130 and then TO, the word 160, it's more of a spreadsheet type interface and using those for totals, but it looks pretty much the same as what you would see in FRX. So let's column definitions and multi-currency. Here's a column definition. Pretty much the same, with the exception of, if we look down here, this currency source. That's different, that's new, as well as the column type here. So FD is financial dimension. As well, you can see I've got this attribute here. And I'll give you a list here in just a second of all of the possible attributes. But these relate back to the source data, so the invoice or the vendor invoice or the employee or whatever. But again, that currency is the main change here. The currencies and rates are managed in GP. And so in your multi-currency setup in Dynamics GP, you'll see this new piece of the window here in the middle that's allowing you to map your currencies, and you know, the currency that you use depends on you know, the type of account. So you know, the spot versus which is current or historical, the average and the budget, the currency for the budget. And so you can load all those in, and then in each account you tell it which one of these currencies you use. Or which one of these rate tables you use to calculate your multi-currency. But the main message here is there are no more DAX tables in FRX, so or like we used in FRX. So you don't have to worry about managing two sets of exchange tables. They're all managed in GP now, which can save a lot of time and a lot of confusion for sure. So I mentioned the attributes. This is a list of the attributes that are available. Now you can pull these in on a detail report, so a transaction report in Management Reporter. So you can have things like the originating document number, that's the invoice number. Master record ID, that would be a vendor number, a customer number. Master record name would be the vendor customer name. So you can see there's a whole lot of information that's available, and because of this, you can do a lot of operational reporting from Management Reporter. So you can report on that information through your general ledger if you choose to. So that can be real handy, and you can filter on those as well. So you could get, you know, all of the transactions for a particular vendor over a period of time, for example. Just by using those attributes. Management Reporter also has a reporting tree. Looks very similar to the reporting tree that we saw in FRX. Same sort of capabilities. Notice that my dimensions are the segments of my general ledger. The same capabilities where I can put things in folders and have trees and move these different units amongst the higher level units in a particular tree, have as many trees as I want. And so let's do this. Let's jump into a demo here, and I'm just going to bring up Management Reporter report definition here. So let me show this. All right. So this is Management Reporter. What you see here on the left, very similar to what you see in Outlook, what you see in GP. You have a navigation area, so and I can add folders here, as well as buttons that I can use to access different areas. In this case, we're looking at what we call the building blocks in Management Reporter. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to open up this income statement And this is actually the one that we were just looking at, the building blocks that we were just looking at in the screenshots earlier. And I just kind of want to take you through so you can see what's available, and we'll go ahead and generate a report and look at the report viewer as well. One thing I want to mention, though, is if I turn off that navigation pane, that looks just like FRX. So there's really, you know, if you know how to create a report in FRX, you know how to create a report in Management Reporter. So we're going to, I'll bring up the building blocks even though we just looked at them, but I wanted to hit some of the other information here as well. First of all, the level of detail, same options as we had before. I can do provisional reports if I choose to. The same sort of period and year, you know, the date information that's available for me to choose from, it's the same. This is a little bit different in that I can choose my output here. I can send it to Management Reporter, Excel, or XRBL. Typically what you're going to do is you're going to send it to a location in your report library. And so what this is in my report library, I have a folder called Demo. And when I generate this report, that's where it's going to land. I mentioned the ability to add images to reports, and I'm just going to click this Images button here so that you can see there's an image that has been added in and made available to Management Reporter, and I have the option then of including that in a report. The auto text, very similar, probably a little easier to access just because it's kind of filed away and filtered so that I don't have to dig through and find the information I need. But you know, 3 sections of 3 columns of header and 3 columns of footer. And there's a whole lot here in this settings area, and it's the normal stuff. How do we want to round, things like that. But we can also, I'm going to click this other button here, and you can see there's additional information that we can apply as well in our page setup. How do we want to handle the account and transaction details, as well as just some additional options that are available for me to choose. You know, do I start, for example, do I restart my page numbering when a new business unit comes up? So that that's all part of the information that you define when you go ahead and create your reports. So let's come down and actually go live into these building blocks here. So I'm just going to click on this little icon here. And so here we go live back into our row definition. And there's a couple of things that I just wanted to mention here. First of all, for those of you who are using account sets, you can actually still apply an account set to a row. So I'm just going to double click on this blank line here, and you can see I can pick an individual range if I want to. And this is very similar to what you're used to seeing today. Or I can apply a dimension set. And I'm just going to click on Manage Dimension Sets. Here I have one for revenue, 4,100 to 4,500. It's pretty straightforward, and I can add additional if I choose to as well. But I've just done this range here. So using those dimension sets here as opposed to account sets will allow you, and you can filter these on department or location or anything like that. So you could create your dimension sets based on those as well. So you can see in this case here I'm saying account 4,100 to 4,185 plus account 4,200. I can still do wildcards. That's all still available to me. And so, you know, you can see if you know how to do this in FRX, you know how to do it in Management Reporter. Oh, one other thing that's important, and I think a pretty significant improvement here is the way that we apply fonts. So these are pulling fonts from Windows instead of from FRX, what FRX can see. It's actually pulling from my Windows font set and applying fonts and making changes to fonts. It's the same as what you would expect in Windows or in Word or Excel or any other Microsoft product where you'd need to apply a font. So that's all the same now across. It's Microsoft centric, I guess, is a good way to put it. So that's the income statement. The column definition. This is the same one we saw as well. I'm just going to come over here to this FD, and you can see I just double-clicked on that. It's a financial definition, and so you can pick other things. Here's that page break I mentioned. So you can still do calculations, pull in data from an external worksheet. You know, it's pretty similar to what you're used to today. And here's that big long list of attributes that we saw. Here we go. There we go. Oh, and that's in the way. So here's all of the attributes that I had listed for you in the PowerPoint deck. So those are all there, and you can include those as well. If I look at my currency source, notice that it's going to give me some options here. The natural or originating currency for this company, for Fabricam, or the functional currency. So in GP, we have the originating currency, or the natural currency, and we have the functional currency. And then we can choose different reporting currencies as well, based on those currencies that are defined in GP. So that's coming directly from GP. And if you have the demo data, if you have Fabricam in your GP, as a company in GP today, you're familiar with these guys here. So those came right from GP. So that's the column definition. Notice as well, I didn't really point this out with the rows, but you can see how they're organized here. I can add more folders if I want. You know, I can have, you know, these are P&L related, these are balance sheet related, or however I want to organize these. Same font stuff available as with my row definitions. And the last thing here in our building block is our reporting tree. Now this report doesn't use one, but we'll just bring one up anyway. I can still do my consolidations through Management Reporter, so you can have as many companies as you want, you know, an elimination company, and you can consolidate any or all of the companies through GP. So I'm going to open my tree here just so that you can see same sort of capabilities as what we're used to seeing. Notice that I'm indicating my dimension, so this is being broken out by department. And same, you know, I can move this, so I've just put Department 999 inside of Department 000 for reporting when I use this tree. But you can see most of the same information that you're used to seeing. The unit security as well is in here. So that's the reporting tree. So let's take that off there, because I'm going to generate the report for you in just a second. One more thing I want to talk about is report groups. So I'm just going to click this little icon here. Those of you who have tried to use chained reports in FRX understand the challenges that might bring. If you've got report catalogs chained to one another, if you run that report individually, just as it sits, everything in the chain following it is going to be generated as well. So a lot of times, you know, organizations will have actually two report catalogs for each report that they want to generate, one that's chained and one that's not chained. So in this case, what you're able to do is you're able to do this report group. And so you generate the report group instead of actually generating the individual reports. Or you can generate the individual reports as well. But you can see in my report group, I have a balance sheet, a trial balance summary, and then a P&L summary. And so when I generate this report group, all of those reports are going to generate as well. So let's generate this particular report, and I'm going to change the date because my demo date is in April of 2017. And I'm going to push the generate button. And when I do that, you'll see what comes up here is a report queue. That's because this is working on my server as opposed to working on my workstation. So I can minimize this and move on. I'm going to go back to the queue here for just a second. But you can see these are all the reports that I've worked on and have been unsuccessful, and I just haven't cleared them out yet. But you can see the one that we just generated was successful. You can close the window. You can not have this window pop up if you want. You can, closing the window doesn't cancel the report. So you can just let it queue up in the background and generate the report. What I end up with, though, is in this case, it's an income statement. And you can see, here's my logo. So you can see it's clear. I can read it. It's not grainy. So it's, and that's just because we're using, with Management Reporter, you've got current technology as opposed to an 8-track or a cassette. You've got a, something that's digital, that's more current in technology. So the same rules apply here if I pick any of these lines and just double-click. So this is what you're used to seeing in your drill-down viewer. And here we've got advertising expense, and I can double-click on that, and then I can see all of the details as well. So all of the information relating to a particular line in my financial statement. So I can see the vendor. Because of the attributes that I had applied, I'm able to see the vendor name and the invoice number. So I had originating master name and originating master number, I believe is what it was. So I'm able to see for each line now the details. Just closing this up, I want to just kind of give you a view of the report library. So if I expand that, you can see I've got different folders. I can actually apply permissions to those folders. So if you want to run specific reports into specific folders, you're able to see that information and secure it so that only people get to see what they're supposed to see. What else did I want to mention? Oh, I'm going to bring that income statement up again. And one thing that I can do from here is I can actually export this to to Excel. I can export that to Excel. And I just wanted to give you an idea of what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and, if I can remember where this is, there it is. Go ahead and open this up. My demo environment, it just takes a minute for Excel to open. There we go. And I think I opened the wrong one. There it is. So you can see it looks just like it looked on the screen when I brought it up, including, we've got numbers. There's nothing that you have to parse. It's come out very clean. And so that's an example of an exported financial report. All right. At this point, I want to stop. Yvette, do we have any questions?
We do. We have a few.
Okay.
Jennifer is asking if her FRX settings will transfer to Management Reporter easily.
Yeah, there is a migration tool that you can use. There are steps in that migration tool that you need to follow. If you don't follow the steps, you won't get, your migration won't be clean. But we've done several of these and actually have experts on staff who can guide you through the process. But I will tell you that I saw a document that listed the top 5 FRX to Management Reporter migration issues, and every one of those were because whoever was doing the migration didn't follow the steps in the list of steps that are listed as the migration. So just follow. If you're going to do it yourself, follow the steps.
We have another question from Mike. Can we have output straight to PDF?
Your outputs, you could have output to PDF. You can't go straight to PDF, but you could go to Excel and then PDF. So that's an option. That could, the next release, which is 2012, which is out, does output to XPS, which is the Microsoft portable document format. So it does output to XPS, and you'll see that here in just a minute as an option when I bring up one of the screenshots for Management Reporter 2012.
Okay. Tanya asked, if your year is calendar, can you print a financial statement for only the second quarter?
Sure.
Okay. Donald mentions, in defining the accounts to use in the row definition, does Management Reporter allow using account categories? This would make
it does. I believe that is one of the options that you have when you set up your company, is to include the account categories. And so you can do that as well as analytical accounting information. Becomes another dimension.
Okay.
And just let me piggyback that for something else as well. I believe included in those options as well are the 2 user-defined fields on your general ledger account. So you could actually use those and include those as dimensions in your financial reporting as well. Really expands what's possible with regard to financial reporting.
Maureen asks, can you export to Excel with a formula as you can in FRX?
I don't believe you can today. It pulls out, the structure is a little different. So it's writing out to FRX from the report viewer, which has already got that encapsulated report. I'm not sure, because I haven't touched 2012, I don't know if that changes or not. I know that is a direct output option, and so the formulas could be included in that.
Okay. See, there is another question from Elizabeth. Trying to find it. We use FRX formatted Excel a lot because each line of the tree is displayed on a separate tab. Is this supported in Management Reporter?
And that I don't know, because I haven't tried it. I have not tried it with I know what you're talking about, and I actually have not tried that yet. We'll have to take that offline and get back to her on that, if you could set that one aside.
Yep, I can do that. Laura is asking, do viewers need to have Management Reporter in order to use?
No. No. The viewers are light users.
Okay.
And you'll see some other options as well when we start looking at 2012, some ways to not have to use light users too.
Okay. Steve asks, can you assign a date to a report? Can you assign a date to a report group so that all reports in the group generate off the same date?
Yes. Yes, that's when you push that generate button, it's going to ask you how you want to manage the dates for those reports.
Okay, Tanya asks how.
How what?
I don't know.
What was her previous question?
I don't know if she's referring to Steve's question. I'll skip that one.
Okay.
Tanya, you'll have to ask us what you're referring to, how. Chuck is asking, can you expand on exception reporting and how to set it up in Management Reporter?
So as it stands today, well, the initial release of Management Reporter didn't have good exception reporting. In the current release, that's been expanded, and it will actually alert you on screen if you're missing accounts in a range. So it's definitely better. I can't give you much more detail than that just because I haven't touched it. I haven't seen it yet, but I know that it's very much improved over the initial release.
Okay. Not sure who's asking this. We currently have our reports set up in Management Reporter, but we have not pulled in the AA dimension.
Uh-huh.
Is there a way to copy the current reports into a new company using AA dimension?
Yeah, and what you would need to do is probably you can do that. Yes, we would need to probably get one of our consultants to help you at least plan how, look at what you're doing today and help you plan that. That's definitely setting up a new company and things like that is definitely a, something that you need to either know what you're doing or have someone kind of guiding you who knows what they're doing.
I see Tricia is asking a question. I'm thinking we might have to take that one offline.
What is it?
Since my migration, we have row definitions that contain errors.
Yeah, we'll need to take that offline because it's really specific.
Exactly.
Yeah, that probably need a consultant to take a look at that.
Tricia, I'll have someone follow up with you on that one.
Do we have a couple more? I don't want to run out of time.
Okay. Teresa asks, if we migrate to Management Reporter, can we add attributes and remove the old ones from FRX?
Yes, because it's looking at your general ledger. The attributes is actually looking at your live at your general ledger.
Okay. And then I'll do one more. Tanya would like to know how to print a financial statement for only the second quarter.
It's relating to the structure of your column definition. I would recommend that, and the date that you use to generate the report. So I would suggest having someone from consulting get in touch with you because that's a pretty specific question. So if we could follow up with Tanya as well.
We can do that.
Okay.
I'll let you carry on, and we'll pause again later if we have time.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm just going to, let's do this. I want to talk about Management Reporter 2012 and some of the things that we're going to see, some of the enhancements that we're seeing included in 2012. So the first one is comments. So if you're in a report viewer, and so this is just an income statement by department view, in the report viewer, you can actually click this comment button when you're on any line. So in this case, we're on facilities expense. We click the comment button, and we say this is the expense for building maintenance. And if I look at the next window here, there's a little icon. So maybe I'm the next person in line that's viewing this information. There's a little icon now, and if you look, there's a comment pane here on the right-hand side. So as I'm reviewing and going through this particular report, as I click on various lines, I can see comments that have been made, maybe by the controller or by someone else who's reviewed it, to explain situations that are happening in the company. So if I go on the next one here is Quicklinks, and if anyone's had a really big report on the screen and you have to page through to find what you're looking for, with Management Reporter 2012, every header and total that you add onto a report will be compiled into a list of quick links. And so you can see in this particular balance sheet report, it's taken all of the headers and totals, and I can just push a button and say, I want to go to total current liabilities. And it'll jump to wherever that is in the report. So that's a real handy navigation tool, again, in your report viewer. This one's, I think just from a features and functions perspective, this one's my favorite. The ability to add quick charts to a report. So in this case, you can see that we're looking at the purchase of raw materials over a 3-month period. Maybe it's a quarterly report. So October, November, December. And if we look, it's actually, we click a line chart, and it's added this chart into that area on the right. And so I can see that now, see that information visually. So if you're more of a visual person, it can really help people understand the numbers that they're seeing and spot trends as well. And you can do that for any of the information in your financial report. There are also additional report formats. I mentioned this. So when you go to open a report, it will say, how do you want to view this report? Do you want it to be in the report viewer? And if you have a light user license, you would have this option. Notice that it allows you to drill into details, drill back to Microsoft Dynamics. So Management Reporter 2012 does give us our drill back capabilities that we've seen with FRX. It brings that into Management Reporter. So you can, if you're a GP user and you're looking at a report, you can click on a detail entry and actually open the journal entry in GP. And it also allows you to add comments and create charts. In Excel, obviously it's limited. The more interactive things that you can do with the report viewer, like add comments and create quick charts, Management Reporter quick charts, drill back to ERP, that sort of thing is not available in the Excel interface. But the good thing is you don't need a light user for this because you're not interacting with the data at all. You're just viewing the report. And the same with the XPS Viewer. It's a read-only version of the report. And it's XPS Viewer, as I mentioned, is Microsoft's version of a PDF. So you would be able to generate the report out to an XPS as opposed to a PDF. kind of along those lines, having those multiple options for formats, you can generate a report to multiple destinations at the same time. So here we've got a report library. So the library in the finance folder, in the sales folder. This is going to a SharePoint site. So I can actually generate a report directly to a SharePoint site or to a file share. So if some of you are not using SharePoint today, it'll generate out to a file share, your shared folder, or secured shared folder, or whatever it is on your network to allow folks to be able to open their reports. And kind of along with that is a scheduling capability. So you can schedule your reports to run at night if you want to. And when you come in the morning, they'll be in whatever destination it is you've chosen to put them in. Notice that I can do this for a report group as well. So an individual report or a report group. So you could literally generate everything when you're not there. And finally, we can get email alerts through SharePoint. So, and we do this internally. If any of you are using SharePoint and using any of the collaboration that's available, when something hits whatever SharePoint sites you've subscribed to, if you have alerts set up for that site, you will get an email that says there is a new profit and loss state by department on this particular area. And you click the link and it takes you to that report. So you don't have to worry about people asking you, is the report there yet? Is the report there yet? Is my financial statement available? They'll be notified when it lands in that particular SharePoint site. So one thing that you're probably seeing is a lot more interaction with the different Microsoft tools, SharePoint, the XPS, Excel, and kind of using those as what's already built into all of the Microsoft technologies as a way to serve up and access reports through Management Reporter. So any other questions of that before we sign off?
Yes, there are a few more questions.
Okay.
Regina asks, when you include the account number on the reports, why does segment print on the report with the account number?
Probably because you don't have your segments defined in GP. You need to get those defined. You can also do a search and replace in your reports to populate those. So I would suggest that you definitely populate your segment definitions in GP. And because if you don't populate those, it's going to default to be segment 1, segment 2, segment 3.
Okay.
You need to define them, to name them and define the values for each one.
Brent has a question. Can you export drill down details to Excel?
Not today. And again, I don't know what additional capabilities the new release is going to bring. But if you look, I mean, we can kind of back into this. Opens a report, allows you to analyze the report. Drill into details is available on the report viewer, but not in Excel. So I would say that you would need the report viewer to be able to interact with that report. That would be my assumption based on the information that I see here.
Okay. Tamara asks, is there a way to print financials with the comments associated with each line?
I don't believe it prints. I believe it's just, well, it's in the viewer. So you can see it in the viewer. I don't know if it prints. And unfortunately, I don't have my hands on that yet, so I can't test anything.
Okay. Next question, where can we get a user manual for Management Reporter?
There should be documentation available as part of the download. There should be it's online documentation. Most applications do not send you a printed manual any longer. Most of it is online within the application.
Okay. I do not see any more questions at this time, Tammy.
Okay. One thing I want to mention along the user manual kind of theme is getting or finding information. And I would recommend that you use your favorite search engine and, and YouTube as well. There's a lot of information out there, and I rarely open up any documentation anymore. I'll go out and, fill in your favorite search engine name and search, Bing, Google, whatever it is you use. Go out and do a search for information about Management Reporter and about Management Reporter 2012. There's a ton of information out there, and you all have access to it.
Well, thank you, Tammy.
All right. So I'm just going to go back here to our upcoming webinars. We have an Audit and Security Tools webinar on July 19th, which will review things like audit trails and GP security and electronic signatures and things like that, as well as the Professional Services Tools Library will be on September 20th. You all have access to this today for free. They've released it as well as some additional tools, and it's all available for free. So download them and start using them. And on September 20th, we'll go through an overview of the tools. So that's it.
Thank you, Tammy. I'd just like to remind everyone, if we didn't get a chance to answer your questions, or if you have additional questions with regards to Management Reporter, please contact your account manager, and they can get you answers. Thanks, everyone.